I mean, to be honest, I think one of the things that was, I mean, with something like this, where, when we were getting started, everybody thought this was I spoke to a lot of experts in global public health. Unfortunately, Steve, you and I had not met at this point, but spoke to a lot of experts, and everybody told me unequivocally this was totally stupid and that it wasn't going to work. And honestly, I didn't know much about global public health when we were starting to build all of this. And so I came like this close to sort of saying, they're right. Like, we just shouldn't even bother. The thing that changed my mind was I luckily spent a lot of time in East Africa at that time, and spent a fair amount of time talking to ministers of health. And they were the ones who convinced me, like, no, like, we would want that. Here's how we would use it. In fact, at the time, the Minister of Health of Rwanda, who was a really amazing woman, named Professor Benegwaho, she basically, I was describing to her what I wanted to do, and she said, Keller, shut up, just do blood. Like, it would be good enough if you could do blood. 50% of transfusions are going toward moms with postpartum hemorrhaging, 30% are going toward kids. It's a nightmare for us. Show us that you can do blood. And we said yes. And I guess the biggest thing is, like, that first year of operations was incredibly painful. We had promised the Rwanda government that we were going to serve 21 hospitals, which is obviously 1% of the hospitals we serve today. But at that time, it seemed like a lot to us. And for the first 8 months, we served one. And we weren't doing a very good job of it. I mean, we didn't know how to integrate with the national healthcare system. We didn't know how to integrate with universal traffic management and the regulator, so that they would know where our airplanes were in the airspace. We didn't know how to operate airplanes reliably. We didn't know how to do safety and pre-flight checks. We didn't know how to run our own fulfillment center for medicine. We didn't know how to communicate with the hospitals. So, I guess, like, one of my big lessons learned is that, I think, that feeling of getting started and doing it for the first time was very, very scary. And for sure, the company almost died. It was not clear that it was going to work at all. And we were sort of just working through problem after problem, but you can only see the problem immediately in front of you. You kind of can't see how many total problems there are until the whole thing starts working. And so I think the things that got us through those moments were that the team we were all aligned like magnets around the mission, which was kind of our true north. And additionally, we did our best to empower lots of different teams throughout the company to operate with very high autonomy and make very fast decisions and not have to ask for permission in any way, shape, or form. And most of those decisions were being made by Zipline's local flight operations and fulfillment teams, which are 100% Rwandan at the time, and now Rwandan and Ghanaian. So those were a few of the lessons we learned in that first year that were very scary, where, like, the company almost died. But I think, like, as we scale, I have to say, it's definitely unsexy, but it's amazing to me how smooth it is compared to that first year. We added 100 hospitals to the network last week, and I hardly noticed. And, adding one hospital probably took 10 years off of my life in that first year.